To exact revenge, a man crafted a homemade bomb. Despite being a first-timer, he meticulously added iron nails to maximize damage, rigged a detonator, sealed it with tape, and wrote the recipient's address and phone number on the package. The parcel arrived at the post office, where a delivery worker shook it, assuming the contents were pricey. Remarkably, the bomb didn't go off right away, a testament to its surprisingly solid construction. When the package reached its recipient, a receptionist opened it while on the phone. The sudden explosion caught the police's attention. Not only was the counter-terrorism SWAT team dispatched, but investigative and risk management units were also called in. The higher-ups treated the case with utmost urgency due to the high casualty count. Analysis revealed the bomb was merely homemade, with instructions easily found online. Using the tracking number and surveillance footage, police quickly zeroed in on a suspect, a college student studying electrical engineering at the University of California. The SWAT team stormed in, leaving the student terrified and confused. When told he was arrested for making a bomb, he was baffled. Prompted by the team, he recalled a strange incident. Working part-time as a delivery driver to pay tuition, he had encountered an odd customer 2 days earlier. Though the man seemed off and spoke haltingly, the student delivered 2 packages for him. Hearing this, Hondo snapped to attention and raced to the location of the second package. Luckily, the student still had the tracking number, allowing SWAT to pinpoint its whereabouts. Meanwhile, a woman received the second package. Assuming it was something she'd ordered, she sorted paperwork. No one answered the office phone, and her cell was on silent. A curious child was about to open the package when SWAT arrived just in time to stop him. Under Hondo's calm direction, the boys slowly set the package down, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. A bomb disposal robot was deployed, carefully placing the package in a blast-proof container. Once sealed, the immediate danger was neutralized. Though the crisis was averted, the police still hadn't identified the bomb maker and had to rely on the student for leads. Further investigation narrowed the suspect pool. Deacon brought a new clue. One victim had received cryptic messages.
I know what you're doing. I see right through you. Your friend on the radio, the woman on the bus, what did she tell you about me? You only sent them because I knew what you did with my phone.
The messages suggested the bomber might have schizophrenia. As the team hit a wall, the bomb squad reported a breakthrough. Fingerprints on the bomb fragments identified the suspect. He was a diagnosed schizophrenic with recurring episodes, treated for years but with no criminal record or violent tendencies. So, what drove him to this? It turned out his only family member had died months earlier, and the suspect, Charlie, stopped treatment around the same time. This likely triggered his descent into chaos. As pitiable as he was blameworthy, Charlie was tracked to his residence, but when SWAT raided it, he was gone. Just as the team was about to leave empty-handed, Hondo noticed a billboard outside the window featuring the first victim, whose gaze seemed to stare directly into Charlie's room. This had unwittingly enraged a paranoid schizophrenic. The second victim appeared on a bus stop ad, where Charlie often hung out. What a coincidence! A search of Charlie's home uncovered a marked flyer for an auto repair shop. At the shop, Hondo found similar flyers near a gas tank, signaling the shop as Charlie's next target. Sure enough, Charlie arrived with a gift-wrapped bomb, his intentions clear. Fortunately, Jim and the team spotted him. A traffic collision tipped Charlie off, and he fled into a restaurant, grabbing a knife from the kitchen and barricading himself in a storage room, a dead end. He threatened the team with the bomb and took a hostage. The situation seemed hopeless until Deacon, whose father had schizophrenia, used his experience to talk Charlie down. Charlie lowered his guard and dropped the bomb. Hondo swiftly doused it with a hose, neutralizing the threat. Charlie was arrested, and the case was closed. Still, a question lingered. In the U.S., are mentally ill individuals who commit murder held accountable under the law? Next, another disturbed individual emerged, deceiving and sniping at firefighters. When one firefighter fell, his teammates tried to rush to his aid but were pinned down by gunfire. Thankfully, SWAT arrived quickly, providing first aid and saving the firefighter's life. Deacon stayed to assist with medical care while the others pursued the shooter's position. But when they got there, the suspect had vanished, leaving only spent bullet casings. Solving crimes isn't S.W.A.T's forte, so headquarters looped in a specialized task force to hunt for clues. Analysis suggested the suspect deliberately set a fire to lure firefighters, using a disposable SIM card to avoid detection. Though SWAT and firefighters often butt heads, protecting them is still SWAT's duty. Through surveillance footage, police identified a suspect driving a decommissioned fire truck. Coincidentally, he had failed the firefighter recruitment process 3 times. Could revenge be his motive? When SWAT raided his home, he was visibly shaken and terrified. After questioning, they learned he desperately wanted to be a firefighter. He'd gone to the crime scene just to watch firefighters in action, revealing his intense passion for the job. As the team prepared to leave empty-handed, Hondo grew curious about a photo of a fire on the wall. Further inquiry revealed it depicted a devastating blaze that killed 5 firefighters and sparked numerous lawsuits. The fire happened exactly on this date 2 years prior. Sensing a connection, Hondo reported it to the commander, suspecting a targeted revenge plot against firefighters. At that moment, firefighters were dispatched to a new fire. The caller used a disposable SIM card, raising red flags. SWAT rushed to the scene, arriving just after the firefighters. They immediately began searching for the suspect. The fire was ferocious, with civilians trapped inside. Without prompt action, it would be a tragedy. Despite Hondo's urging to prioritize safety, the fire captain insisted on tackling the blaze first. What followed was a gripping scene. SWAT provided cover while firefighters battled the flames. The suspect opened fire on them, but his shots gave away his position. Under S.W.A.T's overwhelming firepower, he fled, but the team wasn't about to let him go. During the chase, Hondo spotted the suspect, only to be locked in a stairwell. Furious, Hondo kicked at the door, but luckily, Deacon had a timed explosive to blast it open. As they escaped, they smelled gasoline. Turning into an alley, they realized the suspect hadn't fled but had set a fire on the ground. Hondo nearly charged in, but Deacon stopped him from leaping into the flames. The suspect, Max, was identified. His wife and child had perished in the fire 2 years ago, and he blamed the firefighters, even suing the government, unsuccessfully. His resentment fueled his attacks. Police checked Max's social media, but aside from hateful rants, there were no clues about his whereabouts. After extensive digging, they learned Max had stayed at a support center, where he was unpopular due to his disruptive behavior, yelling and blaming firefighters. While the center sympathized with his loss, they didn't condone his actions. Then, a car exploded. Though no one died, 2 people were injured. The fire captain, realizing the situation was spiraling, decided to act. He had ordered the retreat during the fire 2 years ago and carried guilt ever since. He arranged a private meeting with Max to sincerely apologize, but Max rejected it, insisting the firefighters were responsible for his family's deaths, as if their lives mattered less. Max coerced the captain to a fire truck, planning to kill him there. But the captain, no fool, had triggered a silent alarm while boarding. As Max tied him to a seat and doused the area with gasoline, SWAT arrived. Max casually greeted the team before lighting the fire, stunning everyone. Did he plan to die with the captain? Not quite. Deacon spotted Max attempting to escape through a roof hatch. SWAT wasn't letting him slip away. Tan, guided by firefighters, used a hose to douse the flames, freeing the captain. Chris tackled Max, ensuring he'd face justice. Can a legendary SWAT team ever be forced to run and hide? Not with this armored beast tearing through the streets, its bulletproof shell shrugging off gunfire. The driver, Diablo's nephew, likely the reason Diablo visited Los Angeles last time. Think he can escape with just this tank? Don't underestimate SWAT. Headquarters deployed 2 armored vehicles to block his path. Faced with this, the terrorist paled. SWAT was ready to teach him a lesson. Hondo expertly tossed a smoke grenade, halting the tank. A few disheveled criminals surrendered, and SWAT took control, but the terrorist, Lego, arrogantly demanded to negotiate. I know I'm facing life in prison. I get to choose where I'm locked up. You don't call the shots. My side hustle is cross-border trafficking. I've got a crew. Pay me triple. 3 men, 1 woman. We're hitting your city. Police coordinated with SWAT at the scene, estimating the attack killed 7 and injured 6, targeting Los Angeles' largest blood reserve. Worse, this was just the beginning. As black smoke rose, Hondo sighed, knowing such chaos could strike anywhere. No government wants this. He'd seen something similar in his youth. Under interrogation, Lego revealed the gang's motive wasn't money but to ignite a race war between black and white communities. He disclosed the hideout of his 3 accomplices, but when SWAT arrived, they found only a dead henchman and materials for timed bombs. Clearly, the group knew they'd been exposed and were accelerating their plans. As the team scrambled, Deacon brought a lead suspect was a popular creator of comedic videos. Deacon's girlfriend was a fan. The creator was hosting a fan meetup at a hotel, and a distinctive hat tied to the event might link to the terrorists. The crowded venue complicated S.W.A.T's mission. Despite evacuating civilians and spotting a suspicious figure, the suspect calmly triggered a bomb. The massive explosion threw the scene into chaos. The two remaining terrorists tried to cause more destruction amid the panic but were taken down on the spot. Hondo neutralized the second, and the third was cornered. Yet, before his capture, he made a phone call, hinting at more accomplices. Though the operation was a success, the explosion left dozens dead or injured. With the blood reserve center already hit, transferring blood from elsewhere took time, and the death toll was likely to rise. Calming the victims' families was nearly impossible. Fortunately, SWAT traced a suspect through the bomber's phone. Turns out, he was an ambulance driver. It all made sense. First, blow up the blood reserve, then herd victims to one spot, likely planning to use the ambulance for another bombing. As expected, the suspect was driving an explosives-laden ambulance toward the victim triage area. Before he could arrive, a helicopter spotted him. SWAT split into two teams. One evacuated civilians, the other chased the suspect. They cornered him on a freeway overpass. Realizing escape was impossible and surrender wouldn't end well, he recklessly charged at SWAT. The team, caught off guard, opened fire, but the ambulance had been retrofitted with bulletproof armor. Regular bullets were useless. To prevent a massacre, Hondo risked it all, grabbing a high-powered rifle and unloading on the windshield. Despite the commander's order to fall back, Hondo kept firing until the last bullet. It paid off. The ambulance veered, crashed into the guardrail, and burst into flames. Seeing this, Hondo, heedless of danger, rushed to pull the suspect from the wreckage. Was someone like that even worth saving? Years after COVID-19, people still talk about it. Time flies like a dog running through a field. The pandemic hit SWAT hard. Jim, the team's best driver, faced off against a reckless speed demon today. Police laid spike strips, but the white car barreled forward, veering into the desert. In a dust-choked chase, Jim rammed the car, sending it rolling. Miraculously, the driver only suffered scratches. His loot, medical gloves, sanitizer, and toilet paper. Desperate times push people to desperate acts. But this was just a minor case. The real issue was Salman, a crime lord tied to hundreds of murders, who took pride in his infamy as if it cemented his status as a kingpin. The case originally belonged to the intelligence agency, but with COVID straining their resources, it fell to SWAT. Investigation revealed Salman's henchman, operating in Los Angeles, was handling his business via email, going by the alias The Courier. Using intel from the agency, Hondo led the team to the courier's location, launching tight surveillance. A suspect came into view. Jim accidentally knocked over a glass of water to create a distraction, allowing Hondo to snap a photo of the suspect's face. Headquarters confirmed it was the courier. Next, Chris took the stage, deliberately cutting off the suspect's car, while Hondo planted a tracker on its rear. Surveillance duties went to Deacon. The courier stopped at a house and went inside. Headquarters dug up the property records, revealing it was owned by a shell company, likely Salman's hideout. The intelligence agency sent backup. Jim and Chris monitored the exterior, sifting through trash for Salman's fingerprints to confirm his presence before a raid. Unexpectedly, the house was equipped with tech to block thermal imaging, forcing Jim and Chris to rely on visual observation. They spotted a boy with visible bruises, a clear sign of abuse. Fortunately, the agency hacked the house's phone system, intercepting a food delivery order. Chris planned to pose as a delivery driver, but the criminals were cautious, demanding the food be dropped at a designated spot for pickup. As Tan and Chris prepared to move, two suspects arrived to collect the order. Chris snapped photos while they generously paid without asking for change. Though only their eyes were visible, facial recognition confirmed one as Timur, Salman's henchman. Surveillance picked up a loud argument inside the house. Soon after, Timur drove off alone. Deacon and an agency operative staged a spilled toolbox to distract him, but Timur wasn't fooled. Spotting the operative's concealed gun, he reversed to flee. His poor driving skills betrayed him, and he was quickly subdued. Timur refused to talk, denying Salman was in the house. To keep the others from suspecting, police leaked a story to the media about Timur's car accident, allaying the group's suspicions. During surveillance, Jim saw the boy again, now with more bruises. Desperate to save him, Jim wanted to act, but without proof Salman was inside. A raid wasn't authorized. Chris found an empty insulin vial in the trash, and rumors suggested Salman was diabetic. Jim called Hondo to request action, but an empty vial wasn't enough evidence. Jim insisted on sneaking in, earning a sharp rebuke from Hondo, who ordered him back to headquarters. Using a drone, Hondo spotted something odd on the roof, an industrial air conditioner, unusual for a residential home. It was likely blocking the thermal scanner. These criminals were clever. Though Deacon wasn't an HVAC expert, sabotage was easy enough. He snuck into the yard, but a suspect emerged to take out the trash. Luckily, the man didn't look around. Seizing the moment, Deacon climbed to the roof. As the suspect returned with a lighter, Deacon hid just in time. He reached the air conditioner and cut its power line. With the unit offline, the thermal scanner worked again, revealing 6 suspects inside. Still, they couldn't confirm Salman's presence. Jim devised a plan: have Tan play an online game with the boy in the house and intentionally lose. The boy responded to messages, and after some back and forth, he opened the curtains. Tan piloted the drone to capture images of 2 people inside. Headquarters quickly confirmed one was Salman. With solid evidence, the next steps were clear. Busting down doors is S.W.A.T's specialty. Hondo spotted a suspect, but the guy fought back, taking a bullet before surrendering. The others were smarter, throwing their hands up immediately. Jim found the boy, who signaled him, allowing Jim to subdue another suspect. A third tried to bolt but was nabbed by Deacon on the spot. Only Salman remained, playing hide and seek with SWAT. Too bad they had thermal scanners. Once Tan pinpointed Salman's location, Hondo rushed in and took him down. Even then, Salman resisted, but the law was waiting to deliver justice. What happens to girls trafficked to Los Angeles? Their plight tells the story. Freezing weather, no coats allowed by the traffickers, and after prolonged brainwashing, they forgot how to fight back. It's an unspoken rule among truckers: flash your lights twice at a rest stop, and a pretty girl appears. Her practiced moves showed this wasn't her first time, but this driver wanted a freebie. She kicked him and ran. He chased her, only stopping when 2 traffickers showed up, shooting at him to let her go. After a 2-hour gunfight, SWAT arrived. Surprisingly, the driver had taken down 1 trafficker. The other fled, but the driver, gravely wounded, collapsed. If SWAT had been a minute later, he'd be dead. Following a blood trail, Hondo found a suspicious room. Kicking the door in, he discovered the girl hiding in the bathroom, narrowly escaping death. The driver, it turned out, was part of a vigilante group, sticking his nose in others' business. He tried to save the girl, but she fought him. Ungrateful. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Hondo made it clear: leave criminals to the pros. Vigilantes should just call the cops. The 19-year-old girl, raised in a poor rural area, used her looks to get by without working. At first, she refused to cooperate, viewing the traffickers as friends and willingly selling herself for them. But Tan's kindness and promise to get her home changed her mind. She spilled everything. The man in front of them was the trafficker who kidnapped her. Spotting SWAT, he bolted. A chase ensued, him sprinting ahead, SWAT hot on his heels. After 30 minutes, Tan tackled him into a pool. He had no choice but to give up. Interrogation revealed he wasn't part of the trafficking ring, just a middleman in a transactional relationship with the girl. He clammed up at first, but Tan and Chris's mix of threats and persuasion cracked him. He admitted handling online payments, then being driven to a location. After the job, someone took him back. He only knew the general area, not the exact spot. SWAT turned back to the girl. She was reluctant to talk, but Tan, drawing on experience, shared how his ex-girlfriend was once trafficked. After some heartfelt talk, he won her over. She named Walker, a regular who abused her, taking advantage of her inability to say no. She recalled 3 traffickers managing the girls and mentioned birds' nests around the buildings. Combined with Walker's info, SWAT quickly located 2 of the criminals' hideouts. But the traffickers were cautious, with cameras covering every angle. A direct assault was nearly impossible. Just then, a trafficker entered with 2 girls, with identities confirmed. SWAT didn't hold back. Their armored vehicles smashed through, clearing the way. Flashbangs disoriented the criminals, and SWAT took them down fast. After a thorough search, SWAT found 3 girls and a shirtless man, up to no good. Escaping SWAT, not a chance. But the final trafficker was gone. Surveillance footage showed that before SWAT arrived, the 2 traffickers had argued. In a rage, the last one took 2 girls and left to operate solo. No matter, SWAT checked his social media and pinpointed his location. Meanwhile, at a fancy parking lot, the trafficker spotted his next target. He coerced a girl to do his bidding, but as she approached the driver, police sirens wailed in the distance. Panicked, he called the other girl back to the car, ready to flee. The lot was already surrounded. After a series of collisions, the criminal's car was stopped. He jumped out, running for it, but the last hostage was freed. Tragically, the first girl, just rescued by a kind driver, was grabbed again by the trafficker, out of the frying pan, into the fire. The oil tanker he hijacked roared out of the lot. SWAT wasn't letting him go. They gave chase and cut him off. Suddenly, Hondo noticed the tanker leaking oil. A spark from a collision could kill both the trafficker and the hostage. SWAT poured everything into stopping the truck. As the team struggled to find a contact point, Jim floored it, catching up. But the trafficker's driving was awful, likely his first time with a tanker. He swerved, spinning the truck sideways, creating a deadly situation. The oil tanker had stopped, but it could blow any second. In the final moment, Tan and Hondo acted fast, taking out the criminal with a single shot, risking their lives. They rushed onto the truck, each grabbing one person, successfully saving both the criminal and the hostage. As they cleared out, the tanker exploded in a fireball. Miraculously, no one was hurt. The two traffickers would now face justice. How bad are cults in Los Angeles? One young woman's story says it all. Wanting to get closer to God, she chose to become a nun. At a ceremony led by a so-called servant of God, her head was shaved while cult propaganda was preached. The result? She ended up a beggar, one of many tragic outcomes for those who blindly follow cults. A woman like her was deeply loved by a man. After work, Chris stumbled upon the scene. Thinking the man was harassing her and restricting her freedom, Chris intervened, warning him to back off. As she turned away, she saw the woman get into a strange car and drive off. Something felt off, but with work still pending, Chris jotted down the license plate, planning to investigate later. SWAT geared up for their next target, Walter, a forklift operator living alone. He'd worked for the same company since he was 18, a 40-year stint. Recently fired for being too old, he snapped, killing his boss and manager. The situation inside was unclear, but SWAT didn't care about his reasons. Their priority was rescuing trapped employees, and catching the shooter if possible. After a thorough search, they found the bodies of the boss and manager, a lesson for the next life. Treat your workers better. As the search continued, Walter's phone rang. Though he didn't answer, the sound gave away his position. Surprisingly, he was candid. He hadn't meant to kill anyone, just scare them with the gun, but it went off by accident. When the manager tried to call the cops, Walter shot him too. Knowing his crimes were severe, he waited for SWAT, hoping for a quick death, a bullet to the head. But SWAT wasn't granting wishes. They tossed a flashbang, disorienting him. Hondo's sharp command made Walter drop his gun in fear. The law would deal with him harshly. After her shift, Chris returned to the spot from that morning. Sure enough, the man was still there, desperate to save the woman he loved. He traced the car Zoe, his girlfriend, got into, registered to a cult leader, Dylan. The man revealed Zoe wasn't the only one. Many 18-year-old girls were forced to beg and spread the cult's message. Chris noticed the cult leader's henchman patrolling nearby. His smug demeanor screamed trouble. She wasn't about to let this scum slide. Using Dylan's info, Chris made a risky call: infiltrate the church alone to scope things out. The cult leader ignored her, engrossed in preaching his twisted doctrine. Near the end, he demanded practical action for their prayers, code for donations. The church even had an ATM, treating followers like cash machines. The leader soon approached Chris, trying to brainwash her. She played along, and during small talk, met Zoe. But Zoe, calling herself a nun, refused to leave, believing she was closer to God. No amount of persuading worked. Back at the station, Chris reported to Hondo, without evidence, and since detective work wasn't S.W.A.T's forte, Hondo could only promise to escalate it to the brass. After hours, Chris met Dylan again, explaining why Zoe wouldn't leave. Stubborn, Dylan vowed to wait until she came around. As they parted, a passing car snatched Dylan. Chris saw it but couldn't give chase, reporting it to her superiors instead. With Hondo's approval, she returned to the church in plainclothes, hoping for clues. This time, the leader wasn't friendly. He kicked her out, revealing he knew she was a cop. Before leaving, he taunted her to get a search warrant next time. His arrogance pushed SWAT to dig elsewhere. Luckily, a girl fed up with the cult's antics tipped them off. She suspected the person they were looking for was locked in a dark room and gave the address. SWAT sprang into action, busting doors and nabbing bad guys was their thing. A mini-camera confirmed the target, followed by an upgraded directional explosive. Once the door was blown, a flashbang took out 2 cult henchmen, and the search began. Hondo's team quickly found a suspicious area. Kicking the door in, they discovered girls hooded and caged, with cult sermons blaring on a TV. Dylan was already dead. In that environment, resisting brainwashing was near impossible. One girl said she'd used donation money to buy lipstick, only to be sent here for re-education. Zoe had been moved elsewhere, supposedly so the leader could light her lonely heart with love. SWAT quickly got a lead. The cult leader planned to marry Zoe. In front of his followers, he kept preaching his twisted doctrine. Before he could finish, SWAT stormed in, taking down his lackeys with ease. Alerted, the leader grabbed Zoe, his fiancée, and bolted outside. As he picked a car to escape, SWAT surrounded him. After Hondo's persuasion, he rolled down the window. At that moment, Chris, with her sniper rifle ready, got the green light from Hondo. She pulled the trigger, sending him to meet his god. 3 young men set out to be heroes, robbing the rich to give to the poor, but their methods were bizarre. A bank, guilty of nothing, became their target. Not content with just cash, they demanded to see the manager. When he showed up, the ringleader beat him up, purely because he was rich. This stunned his 2 accomplices. After venting, the leader called for a retreat. Tan, nearby, heard the bank's alarm and rushed to the scene. Spotting the robbers fleeing, he gave chase, but a patrol car suddenly blocked him. Despite his explanations, Tan could only watch the robbers slip away. As expected, Tan became the talk of SWAT. Oddly, someone anonymously posted about the robbers online. The leader vowed to distribute all the stolen money to the poor, aiming to rob the rich, give to the poor. You've got to admit, these criminals had lofty ideals. The video was crystal clear, not like a bystander's footage. It even captured reflections in water. Tan's chase wasn't for nothing. In their panic, a robber dropped a pistol near the bank. Ballistics traced it to Scott. The gun was also tied to a robbery last year, but lack of evidence had stalled the case. SWAT split into 2 teams. Tan's group tracked Scott, who calmly denied involvement in the bank heist, claiming his gun was stolen long ago. But when told the gun was found, his face changed. He threw a wrench at Tan and tried to run. Too late, Tan tackled and subdued him. Meanwhile, Luca and Jim sought Terry, a retired reporter. Though long out of the game, Terry's sharp eye spotted a flame symbol in the video. They questioned a female journalist, but she was stubborn, citing her media role and refusing to hand over her phone. She admitted the robbers texted her before each heist. With no solid leads, Jim's team let her go. Back at headquarters, Tan's team learned Scott wasn't part of the recent heist. After last year's robbery, he'd tossed the gun in a dumpster to cover his tracks. That alone earned him a prison cell. The gun was picked up by Hardy, a man with no criminal record. With no other leads, SWAT started with him. The catch: Hardy lived in a tight-knit community, once a gang stronghold. Sure enough, when SWAT arrived, neighbors tipped Hardy off before the team could act. Some blocked their path, shouting, "You've got no right to be here. The people you're after are good kids. Do you even know who we're after? I'm not telling you anything." The commotion alerted Hardy, who bolted. Despite S.W.A.T's efforts to chase and corner him, neighbors helped him escape. Tan's patience wore thin. To avoid escalating, SWAT pulled back, but giving up isn't their style. They switched to plainclothes, planning to handle it one by one. First up was a woman. Though hostile, she couldn't resist venting to SWAT. The residents were poor, with no steady income, miss a rent payment, and the landlord cut their power and water. Chris offered help, and the woman opened up. Someone was paying rent for most tenants. No surprise, it was the robbers doing. The community wouldn't snitch on them. S.W.A.T's only hope was the landlord. The landlord was cocky, saying he only collected rent and knew nothing else, demanding a warrant for any search. As Tan and his team turned to leave, the landlord glanced at Tan's phone and recognized the robbers. They joined protests and threatened him, leaving an impression. At the same time, the robbers faced internal strife. The leader wanted a big score, but his 2 lackeys wanted to flee. He pulled a gun, forcing compliance. This time, though, SWAT got a tip from Terry, who'd been tailing the journalist with the flame symbol. Same old playbook. After looting the bank, a defiant teller refused to comply. The leader taught her a lesson, but as they exited, they ran into a patrol unit. The leader, bloodthirsty, shot a cop dead and escaped in the chaos. His accomplices, fed up, first beating a manager, now killing a cop, decided to bail, they missed the murderous glint in his eye. SWAT followed the trail but arrived too late. The leader was gone, leaving only the warm bodies of his 2 lackeys. The team was stumped. Where had the killer gone? Back at headquarters, Hondo and the team discovered the robber hadn't spent a dime on himself. Every cent from the heists was given to the poor. Just then, the woman contacted SWAT, revealing the landlord knew the rent money was dirty and planned to evict everyone. The robbery ringleader caught wind of this and headed to confront the landlord. Sure enough, when SWAT arrived, they heard gunshots. After assassinating the landlord, the ringleader tried to flee, but he underestimated SWAT. They swiftly surrounded him. Hondo seized the moment, subduing him in a few moves. The radio crackled with news. The landlord was dead. The robber would face justice. During peak hours at the Los Angeles police station, a ragged homeless man stumbled in. No one wanted to deal with him, but he ended up saving everyone.
Get out! No! Everyone out!
The explosion left the scene in ruins, but miraculously, no one was hurt. Thanks to the homeless man, a female officer checked outside and found the bomb. Without him, they'd never have noticed. Why target the police station? It was a bold declaration of war on the LAPD. The incident drew immediate attention from top brass. All other cases were sidelined to focus on the bombing. SWAT reviewed footage from before the attack and identified a suspect, Kevin, a prominent black blogger known for calling to dismantle white regimes and making bold claims about blowing up police stations. Coincidentally, 30 minutes after the blast, he went live, chanting,
"Black justice now!"
After his fiery speech, Chris's team, off-duty, intercepted Kevin's car. Far from panicked, he grinned, stepped out, and kept live streaming. A crowd gathered, filming the scene, turning it into a spectacle. Though cooperative, his smug smile grated on nerves. Before leaving, he aired his grievances with law enforcement. At the station, Kevin was forthcoming with Hondo, admitting the suspect in the footage wore similar clothes but insisting he'd never dare bomb a police station. His earlier boasts were just talk. He had an alibi and mentioned being tailed by a metallic blue police car. With no evidence to hold him and mounting pressure from his fans, the police released him. Using videos from onlookers, police spotted the blue car Kevin mentioned. A license plate check quickly led to another suspect. Shockingly, when SWAT reached his place, he greeted them with a one-man firefight against the team. Chris and a partner flanked him, easily nabbing the unlucky guy. A search uncovered a red car from the bombing scene in his garage, plus a body dressed like Kevin. It seemed this guy impersonated Kevin to plant the bomb, only to be silenced by his own crew. The scene was littered with bomb-making materials, hinting at more accomplices. By cross-checking social media and other data from the 2 criminals, police identified 3 more suspects and their addresses. Their secret hideout was high-tech. Without Tan's exceptional skills, he might have been fried by lasers. Trained for this, he disabled them, but the criminals had also rigged tripwire bombs. After cutting the wires, SWAT entered, only to find the suspects gone. The scene revealed 3 LAPD uniforms and a 3D city map, suggesting a plan to masquerade as cops for an ambush. Luckily, a protest was 20 minutes away, giving SWAT time to sweep the area. Infrared cameras spotted a suspect. His stance was sloppy, but his position was smart, blocking snipers and offering an easy escape. SWAT wasn't letting him slip. They took him down in seconds. As the protest kicked off, he planned to stir chaos by tossing a flashbang into the crowd. Enraging protesters, some hotheads threw bricks at police. SWAT nabbed him just as he realized he was caught. The final killer was cautious. Hearing noise behind him, he ditched his gun, slid down a pre-rigged slide, cut the ropes to slow SWAT, and blended into the crowd. A lively black protest wouldn't be complete without Kevin. His conscience suddenly kicked in, and he helped police clear the crowd. But standing too high made him a target. A nearby car exploded, luckily not the one under him, or he'd be in heaven. Relentless investigation led SWAT to the killer's trail. With too many innocents nearby, they let him get a 3 kilometers head start. But Jim, borrowing a bystander's motorcycle, tore after him in a wild chase. With perfect teamwork, Hondo made his move. The killer crashed into a barricade. Justice awaited him. That's the full recap of SWAT Season 4. Want us to cover the next seasons? Drop a comment below and let us know. If we get enough love, we'll keep going. Thanks for following along. See you next time.